yesterday I was at work and let's go back a little bit. So for the past about 2 or 3 days, my stomach was like cramping and stuff. So I was like, okay, Aunt Flo, she's coming into town, those who don't know that reference. You'll hear more about it later. But so I'm at work and thank God I have a close rapport with my coworker, because she comes up to me and she kind of whispers in my ear and she's like, hey, you may want to go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay. And immediately I knew what it was. Yeah. So I go to the bathroom and sure enough, my period has started and I had on like a little liner, so I thought that usually covers me when I don't know because it's going to be like a few days, whatever. But no, it just like seeped through my one piece. And so I was like so irritated. I mean, it wasn't like a full on just like messy situation, but I was just like so annoyed. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and go home, so left home. But that's what we go through with menstrual cycles, and sure. It starts like really young, so here's our topic for today.
Yeah, so I'm Courtney.
And I'm Jay.
Welcome back to the Pretty Awkward Podcast.
We're here. This is episode 6. Before we even get into the episode, I want to remind you all to make sure to follow us on the socials. We're at the Pretty Awkward Pod on Instagram.
We have a women's only Facebook group as well. Mm-hmm. We're on YouTube.
Yes, and our YouTube podcast videos are going to drop every Thursday, while this podcast on the audio platforms, they drop on Wednesdays. Yeah. So make sure to check us out.
Yeah.
And if you're loving the content, rate, review, subscribe.
Yeah, and again, as always, feel free to share any ideas or requests that you guys have for us.
Yeah.
So today, as Jay mentioned, we're going to talk about periods.
Yes, periods. Period.
So, yeah. I mean, there's something that I don't want to say women struggle with, because they're a blessing. The whole thing in general is a blessing for us to be able to do. But for those of us who do deal with them, they can be embarrassing. They can be sometimes annoying. We can take advantage of them. They can become painful if there's issues with them.
Gosh, yeah.
There's a whole slew of things. I know for myself, I had all sorts of things. I used to pass out. I'm not kidding. I used to pass out. I pass out on the stairs. All sorts of things. Like, that's why
was it because like the pain, like the cramps or something? When
I think just like fluid.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it was typically around that time. So
maybe like a little iron, or
I don't know. They did all sorts of things, and then just told me I need to drink more water, eat more food, take in more salt.
Yeah.
And then like going on, then I've had like a lot of pain. At some point they said, you've had endometriosis, and then later like adenomyosis and pelvic congestion, all sorts of things, which can cause like heavy periods. It can cause pain. Sometimes it can cause difficulty conceiving, especially if you have really bad endometriosis. I know a lot of women struggle with that. I never really had an issue with that, but they did say as you got older it would become harder, and I had kids pretty early. Mm-hmm. So at any rate, I ended up just a year or two ago getting the Mirena. They did that to help me. They basically said that if this doesn't work, I may have to get a hysterectomy. So that was hard to swallow. I don't intend to have any more kids.
But still.
But you never know where life goes and what decisions you want to make. And I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, so they ended up giving me that, and so far that's done pretty good. I don't really get a period at all anymore.
Beautiful.
Yeah, occasionally like a little bit of something, but I really don't get a period at all anymore. I don't really have pain, so that's been a blessing. So if anybody else is dealing with it, ask your doctors about that.
Yeah, and I know that we that's a good story even to like piggyback off of our last episode when we were talking about like the reversal of Roe versus Wade, because they're also now looking at contraceptives like birth control and stuff. And so to think that women are only taking birth control because to avoid pregnancy is false, because in your case you had like a health condition where the birth control actually helped. It worked in this case. So.
Right. I mean, they've had me on birth control pills even since I was like 13 or something, really young to control it. So yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I'll still get like my face right now is broken out. I tried everything to cover it up. So you can still tell, and I'm like bloated. Like you can kind of still tell around that time. But it's at least like the rest of it's controlled. That's the other thing you have to deal with. Around the time of our period, we get our face breaks out, bloating. Like I'm like,
seriously. Yes, all the things, the cramps, the mood swings, the moodiness, like just all of the things, you know. And so I know, like for me, I started my cycle when I was going into 6th grade, so I was about like 11, 12-ish, and I mean, I'm thankful that I've never had like, you know, pain, severe.
Just thought of a funny story. Go on.
Okay,
go on.
Let's table that. So like I've never had like super like bad cramps or anything like that, or heavy periods, but every now and then that's what I deal with. I deal with like, oh shoot, like, you know, just I don't have a nothing birth control back in the day. When I used to take it, it did like regulate my periods better, but my periods are so like off, you know, like it would be, I would have a cycle that would be 30 days, 35 days, 40 days. It would just, I never knew, like I used to envy like my friends who knew like, oh, my period's coming on this day, you know, like, because I just never knew. I just had to be ready and try to be ready for it. That has gotten better now. I use Flow app. So women, if you're not tracking like your cycle, Flow is a really good app to help you to track it, and it gives so much more information on like, here is like you have a high chance of pregnancy or low chance, and it's been working, you know, for me. So it works. I haven't been on birth control, knock on wood. But yeah, so it's helpful for a lot of things. But Courtney had a funny story.
No, I was just remembering, you said you got yours when you were like 11 or 12, and I think I was the same. I was in middle school, whatever it was. But I remember at what point my mom tried to teach me to use tampons.
Oh, I gotta see. Yeah.
She was like outside the bathroom and I'm in, and I was like, it's not going in, there's no hole. And she's like, there has to be a hole, or you wouldn't be bleeding.
Where's it coming from? Your belly button? Like...
It's not working.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I've had, so yeah, so I remember like at first I just was using like the regular pads or whatever, but I danced all through like middle school. And so I remember like I was like, okay, like if my period is on and I have like, you know, a game or something, or a dance function, like I just cannot, like pads was just not working for me. So I remember I was like, you know, I asked my mom, I was like, okay, should I get like some junior tampons or something? And so I remember a similar situation when I first tried it. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is that, like I literally was about to cry. I was like, you know what, I can't do it, you know, like I quit about 10 times, and then finally, you know, you get it. But yeah, I remember going through that same thing. It's tough, you know, like when you're young and, you know, virgin, obviously, and it's like sticking something up there, like men just don't have any clue what we go through. Like it's tough. But yeah, but a lot of things that I feel like that I didn't learn early on, because my mom, you know, love her to death, but I don't know, she was like grossed out by everything, okay? Like, so she was not the one to like stand by me and be like, okay, this is what you do. And then, you know, like, no, it just was like, okay, do you need help? And it was like, I guess not, I'll figure it out, you know, like that or whatever. So, but there are so many things I think that I know that for sure that I will do for my daughter to help her. Because there are some things that you can do to help the process of like, you know, starting your period and stuff. And I mean, from things like, for me, I always kept like extra pair of clothes like in my book bag or my locker once I got to middle school. You know, make sure to carry like wipes, and you want like different types of tampons and pads. You want like the light days, and I mean, there's so many things to help you that you learn along the way, that I feel just young women should definitely know, because even though it's not the most fun thing, there are things to help you to make it like easier. So for parents, for young kids, or dads who have like young girls, they even have like, and I know I've heard of this before and I didn't believe it at first. I was like, how can a different type of tampon or like any type of like menstrual anything like help you with your cycle? But it is true. So I started using the line like 7th generation or like Honey Pot products, and they're like clean products with like no toxic anything in them. They're like organic tampons, and the whole line of things, and it's definitely like helped me a lot, like my flow.
Really?
Yes, like for sure. And so I didn't really even notice it because changed to like organic products like maybe I want to say like after I had my son. So it's been a few years now. Yes, it's about 7-8 years now. But right, it's been about 7 or 8 years since I went like completely organic. And now I understand. I'm like, oh, maybe that's also contributed to like my cycle being a little more like stable. So now I know like my cycle it's from 33 to 35 days like on the dot, versus like back in the day when I was like on birth control and using just any type of tampon or whatever, it would be 30 days, 35 days. And for the people who don't have periods and don't understand, like that can be complicated, like when you don't know when your cycle, when to expect your cycle. So so try it if you haven't given it a try. Honey Pot is a great brand, 7th generation. And it's another one that I'm missing. I think it's like L7 or something. I can't remember, but it's Target brand, and they come in like the rose gold top and stuff. So ladies, yeah, check it out. It's
Look how pretty.
Very pretty. And my husband used to always be like, oh, you just have to get like the pretty ones, like it's because it's super expensive. And it's like, no, it's for a reason, sir. Like it helps, okay? It helps things out over here. So
and if it doesn't, allow me to at least have something that looks pretty.
Exactly, right.
That was not the time.
Right. And I remember like when we first started wearing like tampons, they only had the cardboard.
I could never use those.
The cardboard, like that's why now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, thank God that they've advanced and now they have like the pearl and like this, like the, even though plastic isn't the best we know, but okay. But it does help. It helps to, get up there. Seriously, because that card, like I just couldn't imagine. Like now I'm thinking about it. I'm like,
crunchy and scrape it.
No wonder why we were like hurting and like we can't do this because needing some freaking lube to put on it.
I'm dead. I can't. That's it. Show some.
Like seriously, like
that's it.
We're done. Seriously, like that was a tough time.
That's true.
That was a tough time. So.
You reminded me. You said your mom talking to you and what you're into for your daughter. I remember my mom was like so sweet. She was excited about it. I think she was saying like her mom did the same. So she talked to me about it ahead of time. Yeah. And she gave me like a couple little like pads and liners. I remember keep carrying a little purse around. I didn't need it for probably a couple of years. I don't know. But it was, it's actually like an exciting time when you're that age. It's like exciting. Like when are you gonna get it? You're going through all those changes.
Yeah. And you feel like a little older, like a little more mature, like, I'm becoming a woman, all
and
those
then
things.
10, 20 years later, you're like, oh my God.
Right. I'm
golly.
like, golly. Right. Because it just like ruins some plans for you.
How many more decades does this have to go?
Right. But then it's like a cycle because it's like you go through and it's like, oh, it's great, you have it, and then it's like you go through the time where you start having sex and it's like it ruins plans and like you don't want to be on vacation when you're on your cycle and all that stuff, and then you get
baby making,
right, and then you get older and then it's like a lot of women feel some kind of way about like going through menopause and losing their periods, and like I know some older women who it's like how can I say it, like they're proud that they still have their periods. Like if they're older, it's like, oh yeah, I still have a cycle, because I feel like once you cross that threshold and it's like, I don't have a period, you feel old, which is, sad because you have some women who actually, they go through menopause like early, like in their 50s, which is still, pretty young because usually, I don't know, I think the average, and please don't quote me on this, we can fact check it, but I think like the average like age of like going through menopause is more like towards your like 60s, late 50s, 60s and stuff. So is that I think so. Yeah, so
that's a good point though. I mean, it's something again that when we're going through it, it's like a hindrance or annoying, but there are women who aren't in menopause who don't have that, eating disorders or different whatever things they have going on. They don't get a period. To them, it's like they wish for one. So
I remember when I was think when I was my first pregnancy, afterward, I got on the a birth control, the next one on, and I still had like a very light period, but I still had a period every month. And I was like, okay, this is great. It's, you know, I didn't
Right.
think that I had any like complications or anything, any effects. And then with my second pregnancy, right after I did the same thing, got the next one on, and I didn't have a period for a whole year. And so it was like no period for like not 10 months. And so almost 2 years I didn't have a cycle. And when I tell you, like, my body, like, I felt it. I felt so off, like my anxiety was off the roof, like I was moody, like I was going through a lot of things. And, you know, when I went to the doctor and I was just kind of talking through it, I was like, you know, could it be that the reason, you know, I don't know, my body, I just need that sense of like normalcy, like some type of normalcy with my cycle, because being off of it for almost, you know, 2 years, I think just kind of threw me off a bit. And so I ended up, and another thing that was super important was my sex drive. Like throughout that year, and you know, you were like, okay, yeah, because I just had a baby, and then things like that. But after that year, when it was just like, okay, things aren't like bouncing back like how it was the first time,
Right.
it was just, yeah, it was a cause for concern. So, but I promise you, like, as soon as I got the birth control taken out and my cycle came back, like maybe a month after, like I noticed like a shift back to like how I used to feel. And so that's why today I still haven't, you know, tried another birth control, because I'm so scared, because like I feel like myself again, you know. And
Right.
when I was on the birth control, I just didn't. So it just kind of scares me, you know. I know I need to make a decision very soon, because, you know, pull out and pray is not gonna it's not gonna work forever. So I know I need something a little more
Couple episodes
reliable.
later, you'll
No, I rebuke that. Let me turn this episode. I'm cutting it out. I rebuke that. No. Words have
Episode
power.
16.
Words have power. No, Courtney
Why
will be
not to use
Courtney will be pregnant before I will. Okay, again, you know, if any one of us. Okay, no. I'm done. But yeah, so I do need to make a decision. But I don't know. That's just one of those things that come with. There are a lot of things that come with having a cycle. I totally think that it's a blessing. But you know, there are also some decisions that we have to make, and I won't get into all of the things. I just had a thought, but I'm like, I'm not gonna go there.
So many things.
Yeah, but it's just so many things. I think we can have those conversations later about just about periods and stuff.
Moms of boys, make sure you teach your kids, your sons, about it, and like how to, I don't want to say treat or like be towards a girl, especially like middle school, high school, but whole life. But even like at middle school especially is when a lot of girls are getting it and have a lot of incidents of leaking and being embarrassed. And so make sure like you teach them to be sympathetic, and if a girl has that issue, just to like privately let her know. Just trying to think of other tips.
Yes, and I have to shout out to like my middle school, high school friend Kendra Sims. Thank you so much, because I did have an incident too in middle school, and she like was just the best type of girlfriend to just like, she's like, hey, come to my locker. And she got me her jacket. She has a jacket, and she had a jacket, and she had a whole little pouch with everything in there. And she's like, hey, go to the bathroom. And I was like, thank you so much. Like, it was such a sweet moment that I remember, like, even now. That was like over 20-some years ago. I think, no, not 20-something. Okay, I'm not that old. Okay.
I was like,
wait, so
I graduated in 2010. So
and I graduated in 09. So, okay, 13 years. About 13.
Yeah, whatever year it was in there. 13 to 15.
Yeah, something like that. But thank you so much, Kendra. So also, be a good girlfriend, be a good, guy friend, to women who are just, having a moment or whatever.
I wish I had that story pulled up. I read one once. It was like, when it was from a guy's perspective, like, oh, my girlfriend leaked or something on my bed, and like basically like didn't even say anything, just threw the sheets in the wash, did whatever, and like moved on from that. I think that's important, not to like embarrass.
Right. I don't get embarrassed like that.
Oh,
You know,
I would be mortified.
Yeah, I was saying I don't get embarrassed because I mean in my mind it's just something that is natural, like it happens, you know. So yeah, but that's just me. But I understand that it can be embarrassing to some people. Yeah, just handle people with grace and yeah, oh yeah, definitely. That's, I was gonna say that. Yeah, teach your boys and you know, like that. 'Cause thank God, like my husband, he doesn't mind. Like I've sent him on many trips. Like, hey babe, can you get me some tampons? Can you do some pads? Like, I'm like, I think it's time me. That's when he made those comments. Like, you just have to get the most expensive one. It's like, no, but this is what I like. Okay, you know. So.
And your daughters, teach your daughters to be good girlfriends.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same on the same line.
Yeah.
Awesome. So this is good. This is a good episode. Hope
you
you learned something. I hope that you were able to connect with us in some type of way. If you have your own stories, feel free to share them.
I was gonna say, if you have your own embarrassing or funny stories.
Yes, just share them on our Facebook page or hit us up on the Instagrams. Again, we're gonna have this video posted on Thursday. Okay, so Thursdays are videos, Wednesdays are audio. Okay. Alrighty. Well, thanks for tuning in and hope to see you on the next one.
Toodles!